So we went through, now we have to go through and fix the topology a little bit, fix the vertices. So it makes a little bit more sense. I'm going to dissolve this. Dissolve edge. I don't want too many vertices. Going through, matching these up. Remember, toggle on that X-ray if you need to see what you're doing, because it can get pretty daunting looking at the same thing for a long period of time. And once you're done, turn it back off, because it can overcomplicate things as well as make them easier. Coming out lovely. I'm liking the way this is going. And like I said, guys, I'm going every other edge. It makes it easier for me. And also it switches it up so I'm not doing the exact same thing. Grab the vertice, hold control, right click. Although the character is relatively simple, the character still needs to be done correctly, and this is just a step that needs to be done. And I may or may not need to get rid of one of these edges because it looks like it's sort of too close to one another. But we'll see. We will see. Once we smooth this out, everything's going to come together perfectly and splendidly. Coming together. This thing is coming along perfect. Loving it. You have to space this out so it's not super close to each other. A good thing we have this symmetry on so we don't have to do the work more than once as well. Takes off a huge workload that we'd have to do otherwise. Doing this section, typically I just listen to music while I work, because just knowing you're going to be here for a while. I'm going through selecting vertices, pressing G twice to slide them. And you know, you need more supporting edge loops in areas where you want the character to bend and flex. So keep that in mind as well, guys, as you work. Sliding these down to make room. And as I mentioned in a little bit earlier, that depending on the direction that we want to ultimately go with this project, we may work some more on the high poly from the low poly, and that will make sense as we move forward. I promise. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this video. in the course you guys are learning something that you didn't already know, because that's the goal. We want to ensure that you guys are in a better place than you were previously. So slide this more in the middle. Nice. And another part that's really dope about doing the low poly is it's going to make it super easy to create the accessories, and not have to retopologize that as well, because we're going to start off low then go high, versus with the character we started off high and went low. Always good to hop around the model and not just focus on one area, guys. Sometimes I get lost in this. I just start working. Question that I always ask myself when I was new to this is, what's a good poly count for a low poly? There's no actual, set poly count. I mean, there's a range where you know that it's too high, but there's no particular count to say, hey, this should be 700. Long as it's not super dense, low, and isn't, you don't have useless edges, at least not too many of them. Because eventually, for areas like the neck, you're going to want to just hit Control R and add more supporting edge loops where the character is going to need to turn his neck around and flex that joint. But for this character, I think we'll be fine just adding, a subdivision surface to it. And we still need to model wings so he can actually look like a fly. And let's isolate this by forward slashing. This looks good. Let's just add a subdivision surface so we can better view this. Let's go from edit mode to object mode. Right click and shade smooth this. Looks good. Let's toggle off the wireframe. This looks good. I'm liking this a lot. Let's unisolate this with forward slash again. Select our model, our topology, and let's go back to edit mode. And let's hide our subdivision surface for now. As well as go to File, Save, because as you know, anything can happen. And let's just continue doing the retopology. Closing out these areas that don't need to be there. And let's shift select both of these vertices, right click, and let's just merge vertices at center. Let's close out these areas. Let's clean up some of this geometry here. I think we got a little carried away, or I did, I should say. Want to make sure everything lines up. At some point we will add a supporting edge loop to go here, but for now I guess we'll keep it for now. I wasn't going to add it until after I connected these, but depending on how it connects, we may not need it just yet, I should say. Bridge these two together. We can bridge this section as well, these three, not those three. Turn on our X-ray so we can see what we're selecting. There we go. Close this out. And we can, and we will need to add a couple of points here. And when you get this effect here, when you see this hanging off, that means that it needs to be closer to the body. So we'll go to vertex mode, select the vertex, hit G, and it's going to immediately snap to the surface. We'll add more subdivisions as we start to work throughout this. Bring this closer. Let's grab this edge. We'll bring this out. Let's snap these two vertices together. We'll snap those at last. We'll go to this one. Let's see. Because we can snap this way. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll shift select these two vertices, right click, and we'll snap these together. We'll merge at center. Go back to edge mode, select these, merge those together. Let's turn on our wireframe, make sure we have the right one selected. When we do, we'll hit F. We'll get rid of this entire ring here, or edge, hit X, dissolve edges. So that way we can just double click to select this entire square, hit F. Oh, we need another supporting edge loop here. There's no way around this one. Now what we can do is go to vertice. We need to close this out. So every once in a while you're going to run into issues where the count doesn't add up necessarily. So we need to find a way to go about, fixing this. And we might just need to add this back for now. Create another vertice. Bridge that. Now we don't have an edge loop here, which we can just add one, and we'll fix this here soon. So Control R. We have this. Go back to edge mode. We'll close these three out, and we'll close this final hole. And now we have to go through and clean this topology up here around this ring area. Or we can save it. Doesn't really matter. Let's go to vertice. Put this here. Grab this whole extrude out. Do the same here. We'll close out one of the rings here on the stomach. We'll dissolve this. And let's close this one out. We'll shape up the topology a little bit. Close out this phase. Turn on X-ray because I think I'm selecting the wrong one. Close this out. Add another one here, because now we're going to start going to the neck. So let's toggle off this, and this looks good. It's a good place to save it. Let's go to File, Save, and we'll continue shortly.